Chicago's Chamber of Commerce, I'm Wayne Lawrence. Is owning your own business a blessing or a curse? We're going to find out today. Welcome, Eric Tolbert from Ameriprise Financial Services, correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Well, we enjoy having you at the podcast, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are going to get a lot of value from you. You've been doing this for quite some time, all right?
A little while, that's for sure. I've been at this since 1996. So
Okay, good.
like
All right.
29 years. Like one more and I get to 30. Woohoo!
You get a watch? All right. So let's kind of get into it. So tell us a little bit about what is Ameriprise and how did you get involved? Like, how do you make the decision to go that route?
So I always wanted to be a small business owner. But here was the thing. I really thought to myself that I didn't really have the capital to go into business on my own. So I thought I would go the franchise route, which is what I did. Okay. So the thing about this nice about having a financial planning franchise through Ameriprise is like they provide us all this back office stuff and all the stuff we need to be able to run our practice. So instead of having to run in 5,000 different directions, I only maybe have to run into 1,000 different directions.
Sure. Yeah,
to be able
right.
to run my practice, right?
Yeah.
It's myself and I have two other people working with me and stuff. And I just really enjoyed it, of course, because at the end of the day, what I'm really doing is helping individuals to solve their financial goals, to help them be able to feel that they have a feeling of accomplishment. At the end of the day, I always think to myself,
Yep.
it's sort of like if, Wayne, you handed me a Rubik's Cube and you said, "Oh, Eric, this thing is messed up. Can you help me?" I get it. I play around with it for a little while. I say, "Here, I fixed it." And I hand it to you. And that just gives me so much joy in being able to help people solve their financial goals.
I like that analogy, actually. I mean, that kind of brings that's a good picture of it. I mean, I get that in terms of, solving that problem. Let's go back to the franchise a little bit. Okay. So you chose a franchise system because it's sort of in place, right? It's
Yes.
ready-made, turnkey. As you look back on it now, over all these years, are you happy you started with the franchise system? Or at some point, some franchisees go, well, I could have done it myself.
Well, so here's the thing. Yeah. I'm always doing what I call a cost-benefit analysis of my skill set.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
And I think I figured out what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, okay? And let me tell you what I'm really good at. Is working with individuals, finding out what's important to them and helping them get to that particular, guide them to that point.
Okay.
Let me tell you what I'm not good at.
What?
I don't like managing employees.
Okay, sure. I got that.
It's just not my thing. Okay.
That's where the back end support helps, right? You don't have to worry about it. It's there. Okay. Yes. Yeah, you just do your thing and okay.
Yes.
All right. So, when I think about financial planning or financial planner, a lot of people in my mind, as I talk to, even my generation, tend to start engaging in that maybe in the late 40s, 50s, and 60s, because you're getting a little bit closer. They're going like, oh man, I spent all this time. What do I do? In reality, it seems like in your 20s and 30s is when you should be talking to a financial planner to put things together. What's your thoughts around that?
Wayne, that's 100% correct.
All right.
But the problem is, and it took me a while to figure this out. In my industry, right, Americans, in just general speaking, okay, we are really wrapped up into immediate gratification. And quite frankly, there is nothing that I offer that provides you with immediate gratification.
Yeah.
It's all deferred gratification.
Yeah.
And usually, just like you said, people wait till they get to 45, 50 when they say, oh, the pain point is too great. I need to do something about this. And yes, you would have been much better off if you started at 25.
Right out of school, right?
At 25. But that's just not how, don't get me wrong, I get them that way too. Usually it's truly the young professionals that are coming out of school with a lot of debt.
Okay.
And helping them to weigh, how much do I pay toward this debt? How do I live today? How do I be able to save money for retirement? How do I develop a strategy for moving forward with that.
Okay. And I'm going to hit upon something, before I even ask the question about blessing or curse. But, when I think about financial planning, people love their financial planners when economy and things are good, and they despise them at times when it's not, simply because they base it on how they're working towards their portfolio. You find the same thing, and how do you manage through
that? That is really an insightful question, Wayne. Let me tell you why. I have learned, remember I told you what I found out I like to do?
Yeah.
It's managing expectations for clients.
Right.
Because you are 100% right. I have been in the business long enough time when we had the dot-com era, boom, when everything fell out.
Yeah.
I've been around when the real estate crisis, boom, when everything fell out. And so I've learned to be able to talk to people, and because we know that eventually that's going to occur again. It's just the very nature of a capitalistic society.
Yeah.
So you have to coach them ahead of time so that when this time comes about, they're okay with it. So if you don't mind, I'll tell you this, right? There's a little story I always tell people to get it stuck in their head so that they don't do that to me. Here's the little story I always tell them. My job really is to make sure, again, I'm to manage your expectations going forward. I always tell them, you ever notice if you ever watch a National Geographic show, that there's a lion that's chasing after a herd of antelope?
Sure, yeah.
But that lion doesn't have a lot of stamina. It only goes after the weak ones at the back or the young ones. If it can't catch them right away, it stops. But have you ever noticed that the antelopes keep running? You know why? They never bother to look back to see if the threat is gone. Watch the stock market and tell me, is that not a good analogy?
Yeah, it's a great analogy, actually. So, I'm thinking about it right now, which is exactly what you said. So
that's exactly what occurs. And here's what, intuitively, what happens in your own mind.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's the whole thing with the fight or flight. If you are afraid, what happens internally in your brain? All the blood leaves your brain, goes to your muscles, your heart, so you can run fast or you can get out of the way of the fear of whatever's coming after you. But what that does is shuts down the logical part of your thinking. That's why people always tell you, take a deep breath to be able to do that. And I tell them, eventually what happens with the antelopes, they turn around and they say, what are we running for?
Right.
The threat is not gone. The threat's gone.
Yeah.
So that's what I teach them of. And guess what I hear? I hear that little story repeated back to me all the time, when times get bad.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I've learned to coach them.
So you use those analogies with your clients to really just hit home. And it does. And you remind them when things get bad about, remember, we talked about this up front, how these things can happen.
You just have to remind them. And I'll just say this. When that really hit me, it was when we had the real estate crisis. And I started noticing clients that have 10,000 or 10 million was doing the same crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's because they were all afraid.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Everybody was. I was.
We all were.
Hey, Eric, I was running, man. I never looked back. I ran for 2 years.
Wayne, I cannot tell you during that time, I'd be sitting in my office thinking, I cannot believe I'm going to be going through the Great Depression in this business.
I know. And here you are. So let's get to the question then. Okay. So over your journey, has owning your own business been a blessing or curse?
So it was really hard getting started, but it's always hard for any business to get started.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So you asked me about the franchise route.
Yeah.
I first interviewed at Merrill Lynch, and I figured out quickly that's not the route I want to go.
For whatever reasons, right? Okay. Yeah.
It just wasn't the route I wanted to go.
Okay.
And the main reason why I must be honest with you, right? I am a horrible employee. I knew this already about myself, right? And so when people say about, this, really hectic, it's really stressful, and then they'll say, that you have no control over your life by being a business owner. And I think to myself, I have complete control of my destiny.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I like.
yeah. Well,
what I don't like is someone, I really do. I don't mind people telling me stuff. Mm-hmm. I just like to be able to tell them what I think also.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I tell you what, it's funny because sometimes, I get people who share their ideas of how I should run my companies, all right? And that's okay because you want to listen because you may find a new idea based on that or just a new way of doing things. But I always conclude with, if you want to buy some shares in my company, you could be my advisor if you like to. So, because everybody knows how to do it better. But I think, it was really insightful what you said about the just can't working for other people. I can't tell you how many people that I've sat across who are business owners or met who are the same way. Like, hey, part of it is I want to have my own destiny in my own hands, but two, I just can't work for anyone else at this point. So, Pete,
not a good employee.
Yeah, not a good employee. Because the decisions you're making will affect you directly versus someone making decision for you that affects you and your livelihood. That's the key. That's the difference. Yeah.
I'll give you a bit of a dichotomy about me too.
Yeah.
I actually spent 6 years on active duty in the military.
Okay.
In the Air Force. And 14 years in the reserves. So I actually was able to retire from the reserves. And it was just a real sweet spot when I did it because I ended up getting the 20 years in right before 9/11 happened.
Gotcha. Okay. Mm.
And we was completely free of war for the whole 20 years that I was in.
Yeah.
Which is, when I think about it, so I understand how to be disciplined and how to follow regimented paths. But I like to be able to tell people what I think too.
Sure, absolutely.
And so it's weird because there is no more bureaucratic organization than the U.S. military.
Yeah. So were you able to pull upon that experience anyway in your business? I mean, you talk about that discipline part of it. I mean, in the military, whether things are going well or not well for you individually, you have to be disciplined to move forward. Has that helped you in your business?
Absolutely it has. And I'll tell you why. I have discovered that when you talk about discipline, it's always the little steps that allow you to be able to get ahead. It's never a big stride. If you do that, that's a gamble.
Right. Yeah.
It's the being able to, so you do the marketing stuff, even though it's, pain in a rumper seat.
Yeah.
But you have to do it because I have figured out that at the end of each time I finish a meeting with a client, I'm unemployed. So I got to go out and replace them. And the thing about being in my business, right? People move, people die. They get pissed at me. I get pissed at them.
Yeah.
So you got to replace them.
Always changing.
You always got to replace them, right? And that's the part I really like.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that part. All right. So how do you, you are in a crowded field. A lot of people compete with you, a crowded field. One, how do you distinguish yourself and where do you go look for clients and how do you get them?
So, and you're absolutely right. But I will say this though. Yes, it is a very crowded field, but just what's called a barrier to interest to get into it, which is getting the licenses to be able to operate, right? They're pretty stringent, to be honest with you.
Okay.
To be able to get like what we call a Series 7 license.
So that weeds some people out just because they don't want to go through it. Okay, gotcha.
Oh, absolutely.
So you have to be really wanting to do it.
yes, you do. Because I'm telling you, it's a very, and then it's where the constant reviews, because at the end of the day, if you think about it, right, the industry does not want people, like the Bernie Madoffs.
Sure, yeah.
So you try to weed them out ahead of time, but you learn it over the course of that to weed those people out, right? Yeah. So that's one of the things that I've. So if you ask me how do I market, so these are the things that I do really. Of course, getting referrals from my current client base. I have sort of morphed my marketing to really use social media, specifically LinkedIn.
Okay.
which is the business network.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. And then that is a great way to be able to get people to come to your website to learn something about you. When I first started in the business, right, we were doing a lot of cold calling and stuff.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
But, at that time, there wasn't caller ID either, right? So,
They thought it was somebody they knew. You're right.
Right. We were all taught to be able to just keep it talking, right?
Right.
But so as times have moved on, right, people now, and there is no yellow pages or nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's all on the internet now.
Yeah.
So, and what people tend to do is the first thing they'll think of, I need some help with whatever. We're trying to send my kids to college, retirement, paying off a debt, starting up a business, getting my cash working a little bit harder. So what is the first thing you do? Google it. So the trick is to stay really active and learn how that algorithm works with Google to be able to get pushed up to the top. Because nobody goes to page 2 either.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
Nobody goes to page 2 on Google anymore.
So, Eric, you had mentioned something about Bernie Madoff, and we all remember when that occurred, and it scared a lot of people. And we all, or many of us, know people who have been affected even locally by those who are less honest than others. How do you, and it scares people, how do you set yourself apart and gain that trust and let them know that you're one that they can, invest with? Yeah.
So here's the thing. I have learned through the course of the time that the reasons why people don't want to work with us is because it's what's called asymmetric information. Basically what that means is it's stuck in my head. And it's a matter of if I divulge the information to you to give you enough information to make the decision. I am constantly working really hard with people to say, here, I'm opening up Pandora's box for you to be able to bring down that barrier. And because at the end of the day, one of my little pet peeves on how people hide information in that asymmetric information, if someone says to you, it's too complicated, run. Because my job is to make it where it isn't complicated.
Yeah, lay terms. Yeah, anyone can understand it. Right.
And I think to myself constantly, Bill Gates made himself into an absolute billionaire by inventing something that someone in kindergarten can use, and a NASA astronaut can use the same thing. And I like to think to myself that I want to be the one that's translating the information so that all this complicated information that we have, that we disperse them to people about the investment, that you can understand it. As you probably picked up, I like telling analogies. And that's how I figured out how to do it. That's how you kind of build up the trust to be able to get people to understand. If they can understand it, and it can become something that they can have an expectation, and they receive that expectation, it works out real well. It's just really a matter of not hiding the information.
When we were growing up in the business, we were networking at events, associations, chambers, things like that. You shook hands, right?
Yes.
And you introduce yourself. And after you're doing it for 3, 4 or so times, the person got to know you, because we all like to do business with people we know. And in yours, trust. Trust is a big thing.
It's 100% of
it is, yeah.
And I will admit to you, I didn't get to that part, but I still like doing that stuff.
Sure, okay.
I really do like doing that stuff. As you probably figured out, I like talking.
Well, you know what? It really COVID changed the dynamics of a lot of stuff, because you couldn't interact like that, and I kind of feel as if it's starting to come back a little bit. Are you starting to see people getting out there, more active, shaking hands again?
Well, that is true.
Yeah.
But I think of that as like once you opened up the visual, being able to meet online, like on Microsoft Teams or Googles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can't put that toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So but at the end of the day, just as you mentioned, Wayne, my business is all about trust. And when you really want to get to know someone, you meet them one-on-one.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you a little quick story about, especially with, doing the virtual meetings and stuff. For when we moved into that world after the pandemic, I couldn't figure out why I'd have a headache after one of those meetings. And I'm seeing all these people. And then I was talking to this one young lady, and she was actually like some sort of industrial psychologist, right?
Okay.
She was explaining to me what the problem was.
Uh-huh.
Your brain is not used to processing that many faces at one time. It's trying to process all these different social cues that you're getting.
Yeah.
And it's overloading.
Yeah.
So you basically shut down when that happens, right?
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me, and then she said, if you notice yourself too, what you will do is stare at yourself in the corner, because you never have been able to do that before, to look at yourself while you're talking. And then you become obsessed with that.
Yeah.
And it's just like where your brain is short-circuiting, right?
Yeah.
Now, so that's the reason why I have learned, yes, it's a convenience, but it's much better to be able to meet with people one-on-one.
Yeah. And I see you are very active on social media, because I've come across you and seen, actually, that's how we kind of connected again. It was interesting. I was at an event. We talk about like just a younger generation. I was at an event, and this was about maybe 4 months ago, and a young lady had a business, and we were just talking in general. And I gave her my card, because of course I had my cards.
Me too.
Now you can buy 500 and it lasts
Right.
5 years, but anyway, and I go, hey, do you have a card? She goes, a card? She looked at me and said, a card? And she grabbed my phone, did something with her phone. She goes, there it is right there. And it was just amazing to me. It wasn't like offensive, but she did it like in a nice way. But literally she put her card onto my phone, et cetera. And I thought to myself, wow, that's pretty neat. But at the same token, she's going to probably see this too. At the same token, I thought, well, wait a minute. Sometimes, because I still have that card Rolodex, and I need to go like, now, what was her name again? There she is. Pull her card and go. So I think it's kind of interesting how things are going right now in terms of dynamics of just meeting people, remembering, et cetera. Wow. So I know you're busy all the time. There's stress in owning your own business. There's financial stress. There's, client stress. What's your go-to when that happens? Where do you go? Where do you take your mind? What do you do socially to just get away from all that?
So, it's really funny you mentioned that, because one of the things that I have learned to do is to lean on other small business owners to be able to talk to them.
Yeah.
And as you know, I've been pretty active at different chamber of commerce and stuff.
Yeah.
Specifically, I cut my teeth really with Cozy and stuff. I sort of was on that board forever. So I sort of worked my way through that.
I remember. You did a good job when you were on that board. You led that board, actually.
I did for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right when Obama took over.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, I have learned to use other business owners as like my therapist, to be able to talk to them.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Because I've discovered where if you just talk about the things that you're going through, and then others, they trust you and they'll talk about the things that they're going through. Wayne, if I throw my problems out on the table and you threw your problems on the table, I'd probably rush to grab mine. I ain't got it so bad. Thanks for talking to me.
I love that, man. I'm the exact same way. I've got a group of people that, I'll hang out with, and we just talk about business. And it's so refreshing just well, first of all, they could give you great ideas. It's almost talking to your priest or something like that in terms of help me. Right. And they could give you good ideas. But they also give you that perspective. But it's tough for everybody at times. So this is what we all go through.
So that is absolutely true. Like, for the life of me, I mean, not knocking anybody to run a restaurant. I would never want to run a restaurant, man. That is some real tough business.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely wouldn't go that route either. So, when you're working with your clients, without divulging a client, first of all, what was some of the weirdest or most intense moments you had with a client? Is it always arguing over the way the portfolio is doing when things aren't going well, or what? So,
I mean, I don't want to sound braggadocious or anything like that, but I very rarely have that conversation with people about, the expectations of, because, so here's the thing. If you are a true financial planner like myself, you're developing a financial plan, and it's really no different than developing a roadmap. I like to describe it to people as if you decided you want to go on a trip from Cleveland to San Diego. And then I'll ask them, could you get there without a map, GPS, or anything? And I'll answer the question for them and say, yes, you could. Would it be the most efficient way of getting there? No, it would not.
Right. Yeah.
Because there could be all types of things along that road that'll stop you or take you off course.
Yeah.
What that financial plan really does is provide you that roadmap. So when we get to that point, I can bring them back to the financial plan and say, here, you're on track.
Okay.
Or if we're not on track, here's the things we can do to get back on track. And so it cuts out a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So as opposed to if I'm in the investment banking business and it's all about, I can get you this, I can get you this rate, I can get you this rate. Those are the guys that are having those arguments and stuff all the time.
Okay.
With us, because our true clients are the individuals, the small business owners that we're working with. And then when we find out what they're actually looking for, we go out into the market and get the products and services to be able to help them out.
Okay.
As opposed to, if you're an investment banker, this is really what they're doing. Their true client is a big corporation. The big corporation needs X number of dollars for, I don't know, name the project. And they package it up in either stocks or bonds, and then they take the fee off, and then they sell it off to the public and take the fee off. That's a lot more transactional and confrontational. That's the kind of thing that I don't like. Okay. So that makes it a bit different. So that's where we really differ from, although we all are licensed as stockbrokers. Sure. It's just that, our business operations are a lot different. Okay. In the financial planning side.
So if your business overall throughout your journey could talk, what would it say about Eric?
He talks too much. It would say Eric talks too much. It said it. It was said it. Eric really loves his clients.
There you go. Yeah.
Eric really, I get really, really wrapped up in helping these people. Like I was saying, Wayne, I've been in the business like 29 years. So at the end of the day, I know about the kids, the problems, all the good things, bad things that's happened through the course of their lives and stuff. And the biggest reward I get is they say, here, I need you to help one of my friends, because I know then the reason why they do that is because it makes them a hero.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, and I would think over the course of time, because you have longevity at this point, to see someone who was younger start with you, and to see them be able to get to the point where kids are going to college or going to do something else or buying their first home, et cetera, and it came through that planning, that's a reward. That's the blessing right there.
I got to be honest with you. I've had clients, years ago, that I literally had to take them through bankruptcy first.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And turn their life completely around to be able to get to a point where they have a comfortable retirement.
Sure. Yeah.
You have no idea how much that drives me.
Yeah. That's good.
It does. It really does drive me.
So if, last question, if there is a young person that you're sitting across, because I know you do talk to younger people that you mentor, what would you tell them about getting involved in business? What's the watch out? Just what advice would you give them today going forward if they're thinking about this? Because there are going to be people watching thinking about leaving because they don't want to work for anyone else and then going.
True.
Yep.
So if I was to try to give a bit of advice to someone that's younger, right, it would be find something that you could be really passionate about, and actually make sure you had enough money saved up to be able to get you through the first year or so. So that I cannot tell you how many people I've known that have a really good idea, a really good product, but can't wait to get paid.
Yeah.
And end up going belly up on the deal.
Yeah. Wow. That's insightful. You're gonna help somebody that's listening and watching. That's insightful. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, nobody goes into business right and saying to myself, I'm going to fail on this thing. They really got a lot of. But the problem is, you need to talk to people that are, first off, in the business that you're in, and really kind of have the idea of thinking to yourself, if I can't get if I can't get this contract, get people to pay me right away, I still would enjoy the work that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
And so I can wait to be able to, but that's only done by one, talking to peers beforehand, to be able to get an idea, because you never know, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So you got to talk to people that are in the particular line of business that you're looking to get into, and do the best assessment that you can. And,
All right.
just think to yourself, especially when you be starting out. Baseball players, they turn around and bat 300. We put them in the Hall of Fame. But you know what that also means? They struck out 70% of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got to be consistent in what you're doing and never give up.
Yeah. That's a good way to end. I mean, that's insightful. Hey, Eric, I really appreciate you just sharing your journey, sharing your expertise, sharing your vision going forward, all those different things, because people are going to learn from it. And that's the whole idea behind this show. And I wish you continued success. And I'm sure I'm going to see you real soon at another event, because that's how we do it, right?
That's how we do it.
Right.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Hey, if you like this episode, don't forget to comment, like, and share.
This podcast was made possible with the support of our sponsors. Find more ways to grow at kyeast.org.